Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so, if you're confused by the title, I'll try to explain it the absolute best I can, but the NBA just made the absolute stupidest decision that I have seen a pro league make during this pandemic. So, the backstory is that Kevin Durant was held out of the starting lineup for the game against the Toronto Raptors. Why wasn't he allowed to play? Well, because earlier that day, he had interacted with someone who was thought to have it. So, they held him out of the game, they did contact tracing, and they got the person tested. So, that's all cool. KD was then allowed to play, but then during the game, Kevin Durant got pulled out of the game, and all of a sudden, he wasn't allowed to play anymore. Why? Because the NBA had not actually finished the testing yet. So they figured out that this person that KD interacted with had actually tested positive. So they pulled him out of the game and he wasn't allowed to play anymore. Now, there is so much wrong with this. One, who made the decision for Kevin Durant to play before the testing was over? Because the NBA released a statement after this whole thing happened. They explained I'll just show it on the screen. Kevin Durant has tested negative 3 times in the last 24 hours, including 2 negative PCR tests today. However, someone he interacted with this afternoon subsequently had an inconclusive test result returned shortly before the game. Durant was initially held out of the game while that result was being reviewed. Under the league's health and safety protocols, we do not require a player to be quarantined until a close contact has a confirmed positive test. During the game, a positive result was returned for the person Durant interacted with this afternoon. Okay, so things wrong with this. You still have not explained why he was allowed in the game in the first place. Why was he allowed to play? That's why. Also, why are you like writing this in like Apple Notes? The Notes app on like your phone or something. This is an official statement from the NBA, by the way. Writing that's besides the point. But Kevin Durant was allowed to play before the testing was over. So they explained that part. All they did really was explain what we already knew, but they never explained what our questions are. Because if you have a player that has interacted with someone who had an inconclusive test, why would you even risk that? Like, that's just a dumb decision. And another thing about this is that Kevin Durant is no longer allowed to go with the team to Philadelphia for their next game, but everybody else on the team is allowed to go, which doesn't make sense. Because if you were actually that concerned about health okay, so here's the last part of the statement. Once the test was confirmed positive, out of an abundance of caution, Durant was removed from the game, and contact tracing is underway to determine if he was in fact a close contact of the positive individual. So if you were actually worried about caution, then why is the rest of the team allowed to travel to the game and play the game when Kevin Durant isn't? Like, if KD was just never allowed to play, and he never got into the game, then we wouldn't be having this discussion right now, because none of this would have ever happened. But because this all happened, we now know that you guys don't care about abundance of caution because you're trying to have an all-star game with fans. And so, where's the abundance of caution there? Because nobody even cares about the All-Star game anyway. Why are you still trying to have an All-Star game? It's the most pointless thing about this entire season that you could have possibly tried to force. Like, we don't need an All-Star game. We don't need All-Star weekend. All we need is the All-Star selections, which is what they were proposing to do at first, was just do the All-Star selections as normal, but just not have the All-Star game. But now, okay, so Kevin Durant is not happy, obviously. James Harden is not happy, obviously. Kevin Durant after the game said, "Yo, at NBA, your fans aren't dumb. You can't fool them with your whack PR tactics. #free7." And this was in response to a tweet that basically somebody had where they quoted "out of an abundance of caution," which doesn't make sense. Because, well, actually, at the same time, maybe all of this could have been avoided if Kevin Durant had just not high-fived anyone, which that's the video that I was gonna make before I started working on the documentary. What are these rules that are in place right now, because I have no idea how you can possibly think that eliminating high fives and jersey swaps is gonna get rid of everything somehow. Because you're not allowed to, like, dap anyone up after the game or do anything like that after the game, but then for 48 minutes, you're playing in close proximity to other guys while breathing heavily, sweating, bumping into each other. Like, I don't understand what is happening right now. But the main reason why this video is titled "The NBA just made the most dangerous decision" or something along those lines is because imagine if Kevin Durant was actually positive right now and he was allowed to play a game. How bad do you think that would have turned out at the time that you're seeing this video? Because the Nets would have had to postpone their games more than likely if they actually cared. The Raptors would have had to postpone their games more than likely if they cared. But because they have these weird rules where you don't actually have to quarantine unless the person that you were in contact with tested positive, what is even the point of having all these restrictions and rules like this if that is the rule that keeps you out from playing, or if that's actually how they're doing things? I don't understand what is going on. But I do know that Adam Silver is on absolute fire right now, because LeBron the other night was talking about how stupid and pointless having an all-star game actually is.
I have zero energy and zero excitement about an all-star game this year. I don't even understand why we're having an all-star game, but it's the agreement that the Players Association and the league came about. Short off season for myself and my teammates was 71 days. And then coming to this season, we were told that we were not having an all-star game, so we had a nice little break. 5 days from the 5th through the 10th, an opportunity for me to kind of recalibrate for the second half of the season, my teammates as well, some of the guys in the league, and then they throw an all-star game on us like this and just breaks that all the way up. So pretty much kind of a slap in the face. We're also still dealing with a pandemic. We're still dealing with everything that's been going on. And we're going to bring the whole league into one city that's open.
And now, tonight, KD lit him up for this thing that just happened. Like, he needs to rethink a lot of things right now, because this does not make sense and it is not gonna get by. This is not acceptable. But I guess let me know what you think about the situation. I mean, there's not really a lot of different opinions that you can have about this, but let me know what you think anyway. Yeah, subscribe if you're new, hit the bell to be notified when I upload, comment down below what you want to see next, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.